Canadian bodybuilder Regan Grimes is first time stepping on Mr. Olympia stage. 27 years old Regan earned 2020 Mr. Olympia qualification with point standings, as top 3 non-winning point athletes on the Olympia scoring system are allowed to compete in the Mr. Olympia. Justin Rodriguez also managed to earn his Olympia qualification with second highest points in point standings. Last time he competed in 2018 Mr. Olympia. 40 years old Max Charles could not win any show for qualification, but he is qualified for Mr. Olympia 2020 by taking highest points in point standings. Akeem Williams from USA was 9th place finisher last year in Olympia. For 2020 Mr. Olympia, he won Chicago Pro 2020 and qualified. Due to the pandemic all over the world, IFBB Pro League decided to give qualification to 2nd and 3rd place finisher in the Europa Pro contest. So Rafael Brandão took 3rd place in Europa Pro and now he's competing in Mr. Olympia very first time, all the way from Brazil. From Czech Republic, Lucas Osladil is always around the top of the placings in any show he enters. Osladil was runner-up in the same show Europa Pro 2020 and ultimately earned Olympia qualification. Last year in Olympia, Lucas was in 8th place. Representing United Kingdom, James Hollingshead has won his very first professional bodybuilding show, which was Europa Pro 2020, and he's anticipating to perform well in Mr. Olympia, also very first time. So Antoine Vaillant from Canada has finally qualified to the Olympia for the first time ever, with first pro win of Cali Pro 2020. He turned pro in 2012, he made a comeback in 2018 Toronto Pro, where he placed 4th. In 2019, just 1 month before the New York Pro show, he had to do the surgery because of bicep tear. He came back again this year and won his first ever show. Ian Valliere from Canada is competing 2nd time in Mr. Olympia. His first time on the Olympia stage was in 2018, where he finished in 14th place. Ian is now going to compete in Olympia as the winner of New York Pro 2020. South Korean mass monster Lee Song-chul is qualified for Olympia by winning Masters M Pro 2020. Lee Song-chul is competing very first time in Mr. Olympia and probably first open category bodybuilder from Korea who's stepping on Olympia stage. He's 5 feet 10 inch tall and 42 years old. He's regarded as the biggest Korean bodybuilder, weighs around 240 pounds on stage. 7 times 212 Olympia winner Flex Lewis announced his retirement from 212 division and decided to compete in open bodybuilding after winning his 7th title in 2018 Olympia. And IFBB Pro League gave him special invite to compete in Mr. Olympia 2020 open bodybuilding. But recently Flex has taken decision not to compete this year because of his injuries, which prevent him to pull out of Mr. Olympia 2020. There is no doubt he will bounce back quickly and better than ever. We hope to see him competing in Mr. Olympia 2021. Hunter Labrada, son of legendary bodybuilder Lee Labrada, won Tampa Pro on 1st August 2020, which was his first ever pro show after becoming IFBB professional bodybuilder. Hunter's victory means that he is qualified to the Mr. Olympia 2020. His father Lee Labrada competed last time in Mr. Olympia in 1993, where he placed 4th. Now after 27 years, Hunter Labrada is bringing back the Labrada name to where it belongs, definitely on the Mr. Olympia stage. In 2019 Mr. Olympia, 14th place finisher Jean Moral is competing this year as well. He got qualified after winning 2019 Japan Pro. Jean Moral registered an important victory to earn his spot on the 2020 Mr. Olympia stage. He's bringing something different this year, working with coach Chris Cormier, aka The Real Deal. Last year, due to the legal issues, Nathan could not compete even he was already qualified to Olympia. And this year, it seems like British bodybuilder Nathan Diasha cannot participate in Olympia again after the second lockdown in the UK, which hampers him prepping himself for Olympia. Nathan won 2019 Korea Pro for for qualifying to Olympia 2020. For qualifying to Olympia, Cedric McMillan from United States won back-to-back 2 shows. He won 2019 IFBB Pro Grand Prix Hungary in October. He also won Romania Pro in November 2019. 43 years old Cedric was in 7th place at Mr. Olympia 2019. According to the rules of IFBB Pro League, top 5 contenders of previous competition are automatically invited for next Olympia. So 43 years old Rolly Winkler was already qualified as he was top 5 in 2019 Olympia, but he also competed in 2019 Yamamoto Pro and ended up taking 1st place. Rolly combines size with small waist that enables him to go head-to-head and earn a top placing at the most prestigious show, Mr. Olympia. Oldest bodybuilder in the entire lineup and one of the most successful bodybuilders in the history of the sport, Dexter Jackson, at the age of 51, officially confirmed the 2020 Mr. Olympia will be his last and final contest. But after the pandemic, Dexter explained that it might not be his last Olympia if there is nobody in the audience, so he will delay his retirement until next year. From Iran, Hadi Choopan participated very first time in Mr. Olympia 2019 and ended up taking 3rd place with $100,000 prize money. Hadi Choopan managed to reserve his place for Mr. Olympia 2020 after coming 2nd runner-up in his very first Olympia appearance. Hopefully this time Hadi will not have to face any hurdle for coming United States. William Bonek from Netherlands booked his place for Mr. Olympia 2020 after taking 2nd place in previous Mr. Olympia, as he was beaten by Brandon Curry. 2020 Arnold Classic winner William is coming very strong this year to fight for 1st place. Big Ramy received special invitation from IFBB Pro League after testing positive for the virus, which obviously hindered him not being able to compete and qualify for the 2020 Olympia. He is very grateful for the opportunity to be at Mr. Olympia stage again, but in order to win Mr. Olympia title, he will have to face a very tough battle. 2019 Mr. Olympia champion Brandon Curry is going to defend his title. The reigning Mr. Olympia is way more confident than ever, as he said he is prepared to be the last man standing.
Of course, I prefer to be the last man standing.
He is very happy for having the opportunity to compete against Phil Heath as a defending champion. He will face very extreme competition from Phil Heath, Big Ramy, Hadi and also William Bonek, who placed 2nd at this event in 2019. The defending champion Brandon Curry, aka the Beefcake, has been training very hard in the Oxygen Gym with Camel Crew team, and his impressive physique will take some beating for sure. So finally, Phil Heath is returning to the Mr. Olympia stage for winning his 8th Mr. Olympia title. Losing from Sean Rodin in 2018 was surely not an easy situation for 41 years old Phil Heath.
And most importantly, I needed to know what it felt like to lose.
He had to have major surgery immediately after the competition. Now Phil Heath is completely recovered mentally and physically to fight for his 8th Sandow Trophy.
I'm going in there tonight and I'm going to kick a lot of ass in there.
For the first time ever since 2013 and the 3rd time ever, 3 Mr. Olympia winners will be competing on the same stage for the title. 2019 Mr. Olympia Brandon Curry, who hopes to defend his title against 7-time champion Phil Heath, as well as 2008 winner Dexter Jackson, who will be retiring after this year's contest. 2018 Mr. Olympia Sean Rodin has confirmed on the Jay Cutler TV that he will not be competing at the 2020 Mr. Olympia, as he still has 2019 case allegation and he has to deal with the legal problems. And Kai Green fans frequently ask about Kai, is he competing or not? So to make it clear, Kai Green is not competing in 2020 Mr. Olympia. Thank you so much for watching and stay tuned for upcoming videos and future updates.